everyone. Scripture tells us study to show ourselves approved unto God as workmen that needs not to be ashamed, right dividing the words of truth. We're going to just jump into our study of the Old Testament usages of the Hebrew word Yahashua, Yeshua, Yahshua. So what we're going to do, we're just going to hop into this our study. We're going to look at study number 31 and 32 today. Okay, let's hop on into this our study. Now this is the 61st usage of it. That Hebrew word Yahashua there in the Old Testament. And what we're going to do, we're going to look through this, we're going to study this, we're going to find out what it's actually saying to us. And if you remember in our study, the way that we do this is that we look at the actual usage, we look at the actual passage of scripture, we look at its context in that passage, and then we finally look at its possible implications or applications. Now let's look at this passage of scripture. It says this. It says, violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting not destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. This is Isaiah 60 verse 18. But look at what it says. Thou shalt call thy walls salvation, or Yeshua, and thy gates praise. Now in this passage of scripture, when you think about its context of Isaiah 60, God declares the ultimate salvation of his people. He said there's not going to be any more violence heard in the land. There's not going to be any more wasting. There's not going to be any more destruction within the borders of the land anymore. So it's talking about God's salvation for his people. It says their deliverance is so complete. Their deliverance will be so complete that even the walls shall be called salvation and praise. That's how complete the salvation is. So what you end up having is the understanding, in other words, is that Yahashua be praised. No, because it says salvation. The wall shall be called salvation. You know, he covers us. He's a shelter over us. So even the walls shall be called salvation. Number 62 is Isaiah 62 verse 1. Listen to what it says. The passage of scripture says, for Zion's sake will not hold my peace. For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace. And for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. No, he's a lamp for us. He's a light for us. We even sing the song, Jesus, the light of the world. Scripture context is this. God relays to the prophet that he will stand out and speak out for his people. So you have the spot part that God's going to stand up. He's going to show up, show out for his people. And he said he's going to do it for Zion's sake. He's going to bring peace for Zion's sake. He's going to bring rest for Zion's sake. He's going to do it until the righteousness thereof go forth as bright and as brightness, and his salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. No possible implication again. Christ is the light of God's salvation. Jesus, the light of the world. Okay, those are two of the mysteries, biblical mysteries explained. Let's go to the next one. Number 32. We're going to go to Jonah now. The 63rd one will go to Jonah, the second chapter, the 9th verse. It says this, "But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation, Yeshua, Yahusha is of the Lord." Now the prophet Jonah here comes to himself from out of the belly of the fish and recognizes the Lord. So you have him say, so he said, no, I love the song. It's a song that perfected praise, one of Marvin Winans, Bishop Marvin Winans group sung. He said, when my soul, and it's passed from the second chapter of Jonah. My soul fainted within me. I remember the Lord. My prayer came unto thee in thy holy temple. They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercies, but I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. Possible applications, possible implications. This to say of is to just to mainly say to be part of the whole, part of the whole, part of the whole. He said, but what it says, I will sacrifice. Salvation is of the Lord. That it's a part, just a part of who God is. 64 is Habakkuk. Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter, that 8th verse. Here's what the scripture says. It says, was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horse and thy chariots of salvation? That's one of those passages of scripture talk about that, the Merkabah, the seed of God, the riding the war horse of God. Listen to what the scripture context and the possible implication, application is here. It says the prayer of Habakkuk the prophet during the exile of Judah. This is his prayer during the exile of Judah. He's calling out to the Lord. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was his anger against, because talk about the might in which the Lord rose and rode against, he says, and thy chariots of salvation. The chariots here symbolizes the power of the delivering forces of God. So that's what you end up having in this passage of scripture. That's another mystery explained. I'm going to turn you over into our call. Thank you for turning aside and joining us for today.